911 operators are trained to handle the worst moments of human life. They hear panic, they hear violence, they hear people begging for their lives. But ask any emergency dispatcher and they will tell you. The most terrifying calls aren't the ones with screaming. The most terrifying calls are the ones that end in sudden, unexplained silence. The calls where the person on the other end simply ceases to exist. Today, we are looking at 4 of the most disturbing final phone calls ever recorded. These are the last words of people who called for help. But help never arrived. Case number 1, May 14th, 2008. 19-year-old Brandon Swanson was driving home after celebrating the end of his college semester. It was past midnight, and Brandon was navigating the dark, rural dirt roads of Minnesota. Suddenly, his car slipped into a ditch. Uninjured but stuck, Brandon pulled out his cell phone and called his parents for help. He told them he wasn't exactly sure where he was, but he could see the lights of a nearby town called Lind. He said he was going to leave his car and walk toward the lights. His parents stayed on the phone with him as he walked in the pitch black. They talked for 47 minutes. Brandon sounded calm, describing the gravel roads and the fences he was climbing over. But at exactly 2:30 a.m., the tone of the call changed. Mid-sentence, Brandon suddenly stopped talking. His father heard him slip, followed by Brandon yelling 2 final words. "Oh shit." Then, dead silence. His father screamed his name into the phone, but the line remained open with no response until the battery finally died. When police found his car the next day, there was no sign of Brandon. Despite years of searching with dogs, drones, and hundreds of volunteers, neither Brandon nor his phone were ever found. Whatever made him yell those final words in the dark swallowed him whole. Case number 2 takes us to Alberta, Canada in 2010. 20-year-old Amber Tuccaro was staying at a motel and needed a ride into the city. A stranger offered her a lift, and she got into his car. Shortly after the drive began, Amber received a phone call from her brother. Because her brother was calling from a correctional facility, the entire phone call was automatically recorded. And that recording captured Amber's terrifying realization that she had made a fatal mistake. On the audio, you can hear the car engine running. Amber's voice is tense. She asks the driver, "Where are we going?" An unknown male voice responds, calmly and coldly, "We're just heading south of Beaumont." Amber realizes they are driving away from the city, into the remote wilderness. She says, "No, we're not going anywhere near there. You better not be taking me anywhere I don't want to go." The driver tries to reassure her, but his voice lacks any emotion. Amber asks him to pull over. He refuses. The call eventually disconnects. That recorded conversation was the last time anyone ever heard Amber's voice. Her remains were found 2 years later, deep in the woods. To this day, despite the killer's voice being perfectly captured on tape and broadcasted across the country, the man driving that car has never been identified. Case number 3 involves an audio recording so deeply disturbing, it defies all logical explanation. In September 2015, a 32-year-old auditor named Henry McCabe went out to a club with some friends in Minnesota. At 2 a.m., a friend dropped Henry off at a gas station near his home. At 2:28 a.m., Henry's wife received a voicemail from his phone. When she woke up and listened to it, her blood ran cold. The 2-minute voicemail didn't sound like a normal human emergency. It sounded like something out of a horror movie. On the recording, Henry is not speaking. Instead, the audio is filled with bizarre, guttural growling, high-pitched squeals, and heavy, agonizing moans. It sounds as if Henry is being tortured or encountering something deeply unnatural. But the most chilling part of the voicemail comes right at the very end. Just before the call disconnects, a completely different, calm voice can be heard saying 2 words: "Stop it." Henry vanished that night. 2 months later, his body was discovered in a lake, miles away from where he was dropped off. The police couldn't find any signs of trauma, and the case remained shrouded in mystery. No one has ever been able to explain the demonic-sounding noises on that final voicemail, or who the voice at the end belonged to. Our final case is a notorious 911 call from the 1980s. Unlike the others, this caller didn't disappear into the woods. The danger came right to her front door. Ruth Price was an elderly woman living alone in a small apartment. One afternoon, she noticed a strange, aggressive-looking man lingering outside her window. Terrified, she picked up her phone and dialed 911. The dispatcher answered and asked for the nature of the emergency. Ruth, trying to keep her voice down, explained that a man was prowling outside her apartment and she needed a patrol car immediately. The dispatcher asked for her address. Ruth began to give it. "I'm at," but she never finished the sentence. Mid-word, the 911 recording captures the sound of a window shattering. Ruth lets out a blood-curdling, desperate scream. The dispatcher repeatedly yells, "Hello! Hello!" into the headset. But the only sounds coming through the receiver are Ruth's fading cries, heavy breathing, and the sound of a violent struggle. Because Ruth never managed to give her full address before the attack began, the police couldn't immediately locate her apartment. By the time they figured out where the call came from, it was too late. The recording of her call remains one of the most chilling pieces of audio in police history, a reminder of how quickly safety can be shattered. 4 calls, 4 people who reached out for help in their final moments, only to be met with darkness. These audio recordings force us to ask a terrifying question. If you found yourself in a desperate situation, who would be the last person you call? And what would your final words be? If these stories chilled you to the bone, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more dark mysteries. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and always keep your phone charged. You never know when you might need it.